Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you see him falling? Can you hear him calling? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey guys, I'm just out here hanging out with the horses. And did you realize that we have several different horse breeds represented here at Hooves of Hope? We've got Kitty right here. Kitty is known as an Appaloosa. We've got Charlie back here, who is an American quarter horse, as is Peppy and Gandy. Further back, I can see Haas coming up. Haas is a paint horse. We also have Jeffrey and Winnie, who are miniature horses. So, I think it's pretty cool, even though the horses are different from one another, they can all live in the same herd and they can get along with one another. They can show kindness to one another out here in the pasture. You know, you may be wondering, why in the world does it matter that the horses are different from one another? And why are we talking about this, and how does it relate to kindness? Well, in today's story, there were some groups of people that had a really difficult time getting along with one another, and they had a hard time showing kindness. So let's take a look. Today's story can be found in the book of Luke. Now, Luke is in the New Testament of the Bible, so you're going to look in the back half of the Bible. In fact, it can be found in Luke chapter 10. In Luke chapter 10, Jesus is telling a story to his audience, which is the Jews. Now, there's a little bit of something that you need to know. So, the Jews really hated this group of people called the Samaritans. And the Samaritans really hated the Jews. They just did not get along very well at all. So, in this story, there's a couple things for us to know. Jesus is telling this story to the audience, the Jews, about the Samaritan. Okay? So, and I've got my little buddy Haas here to help me out in telling this story. Well, you see, there was a man who was a Jew, and he was on his way down from Jericho on a journey. We don't know exactly where he was headed, but this road that he was on is known as a place for a lot of groups to rob people. They would hide out and they would ambush them, and so they would rob a lot of people. Well, in this story, the Jew was actually robbed, stripped of his clothes, and was left to die on the side of the road. So, can you imagine being left or stripped of everything, left to die, and you're out in the middle of nowhere? Well, that's what's going on in this story. Well, as the story progresses, there are two people that pass by. A priest. Now, as you can imagine, a priest is somebody that works in the church, somebody that was to take care of people and to teach other people about God. Well, he sees the Jew on the side of the road, and he leaves him. He ignores what's going on and walks on by. He doesn't show kindness at all to him. Well, then the next person to walk by is a Levite. Now, the Levite is in charge of the financial aspects in the church. They worked in the church as well. And so the Levite comes by. You think he's going to stop by too, right? He's going to check out this person, make sure they're okay? No. In fact, the Bible tells us that the Levite went on the other side of the road away from the man who was injured. Crazy, right? Again, another person not showing kindness to this man in need. Well, the third person to walk by, you guessed it, was a Samaritan. Remember, this guy that's hurting is a Jew, and here comes a guy who doesn't like Jews, and the Jews don't like the Samaritans. But in this story, the Samaritan showed kindness to the man who was injured. He stopped, he bandages his wounds, and he makes sure he's okay. In fact, he finds him a place to stay, and he takes care of him financially, so he doesn't have to worry about anything. How crazy is that? This Samaritan showed this Jew kindness. He showed him he was valuable by how he treated him. And it just kind of makes me think, here our horses are different from one another. They can treat each other with kindness. In our story, the Jews and Samaritans, they were different from one another, and they showed kindness to each other. So I'm curious, Have you ever been in a situation where you showed kindness to somebody who was different from you? Why don't you take a couple minutes and talk to your wrangler? Talk to him about a time when you showed kindness to somebody who was different from you. Great work, guys. I love that you guys are talking so openly and honestly together about kindness, because you know what? Kindness can be tough to show other people, even when they're different from us. So I hope you guys have been able to talk honestly about this, and we can figure out ways that we can show kindness to people who are different from us. You know, I'm also thinking maybe we were the one who was different, and somebody showed kindness to us. So why don't you take a couple minutes and talk about that? How has someone different from you showed you kindness? Great work, guys. You know, this week and in the weeks to come, I hope that anytime you see a horse that's a little bit different from the other ones around it, I hope you're reminded of this story. That you're reminded of a story in which a Samaritan showed kindness to a Jew. And that can be an example to us in which we can show kindness to other people even when they're different from us. Okay? And if the horses can do it, and if the Jew and Samaritan can do it, then I know we can do it. So I hope you guys are up for a challenge, and I hope you are ready to show others they are valuable by how you treat them. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, yeah.